well, here it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
But I think that's why British people speak about the weather so much. It's because it's so unpredictable. You just don't know what you're going to get.
No. A lot of it's guesswork, I'm sure it is, because they get it wrong sometimes.
Yeah, I think the Met Office just have a hat and they pull out. What's it going to be? It's going to be windy today. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's supposed to be a nice day tomorrow. I want to go biking, mountain biking tomorrow, but we'll see what the morning brings.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been really cold up here. Very cold today.
Yeah.
In fact, for the first time this year, we've had ice on the windscreen in the morning.
Right.
That was so.
Yeah.
That's it started.
Yeah, we had a bright morning, but this afternoon was quite miserable again. So it's been
Uh,
the last sort of fortnight, 3 weeks. It's been really grey and miserable and depressing. Really, it
yeah,
just gets you down. Really, but
Yeah,
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 at
it's
least we're
pouring rain, yeah.
still alive anyway. So
yeah. What we were getting in like late summer, beginning of autumn, was the Northern Lights,
yeah, I didn't see.
uh,
Did you see
Aurora
them?
Borealis,
Yeah,
and you'd see them over Loch Lomond, or behind the mountains and at Loch Lomond, which I have never seen them so far south.
Oh,
So
well, my wife was in mid Wales 3 or 4 weeks ago and had a great view of them.
good.
yeah,
So
in Wales, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think it's. I don't know. I think it must be a lot of ice in the air. I think a lot
yeah,
of ice particles in there. I think that's maybe something to do with it.
that's
I was
right.
reading up on it, but I don't know.
So,
Anyway, there's Mike.
I
Hello
missed
there.
it.
Sorry, I've got the wrong week. I thought it was next week.
You wanted some Christmas stories, Mike? Didn't you
Well,
want some
yeah. No,
Christmas stories?
I thought it was next week, and the Christmas stories were the 30th.
All right.
Am I wrong?
No,
When we last,
I didn't think it'd be Christmas stories in November, but I forget everything anyway. So
Yeah, that's what I
the,
thought. It's a bit early for Christmas stories, but
no, the idea was to do some Christmas stories early, to give everybody a chance to do do one and give other people, because I've got
yeah,
a set of Christmas stories. I only use them once a year, and I don't change them very often. And the idea was to get other people
oh,
to do
yeah.
other stories, so we could everybody could. Is it on tonight? Am I wrong? Is it due to be tonight?
Well, I just going by what you said a fortnight ago. That's all.
Oh, was it a fortnight ago
Well,
last time we did it? My apologies to everybody. If I,
yeah, I'm afraid I've got nothing Christmassy prepared, and every
Right.
single
Do you want to
Christmas
put it
story I
back
know
then? Do
is
you want to do the Christmas stories in a fortnight's time, in 2 weeks'
yes,
time?
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
let's do the good. Well, do anything you like as always.
Well, I
Okay,
can save my
Right.
Christmas story. That's all. So
Has John Rowe been on?
no,
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 just us.
just
Oh,
us.
right. I do apologise. I really do. So Wally must have set it all up for us. So because it's here.
Yeah,
Anyway, fellas, what do you want to do? Do you just want to have a chat, or do you want to have tell stories, or what do you want to do?
yeah. I'll tell a story.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
I can
well,
tell a
yeah,
story.
I'll
good.
tell a story. Keith and Donald were here before me. If you're thinking of an order,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
well,
Right.
I shall,
Well, give me 2 minutes. I'll go and get a glass
I'm
of
going to
drink.
go and get a drink. I think.
Yeah, give me 2 minutes, and we'll go and I'll get myself sorted out. I'm
when it
sorry about that.
zero alcohol Guinness. What you on?
Well, just a minute. There it is. There you
Oh,
go.
there. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah, with the virtual background, sometimes some of the images disappear. So
yeah.
I usually choose something in the background from my story. So I've just got to, what was I doing the other day? Oh, I know. Let me think. What we got? That one. That one. That one. Do that one.
Keith, how many Zooms do we do a month?
It's every fortnight. It's every 2 weeks. So
No, I'm saying all the other ones we do as well, like Bagatelle.
oh yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah.
out 3-4 times a week sometimes. Yeah, because I know where was I last night? It's a Ballyman Barn last night, and then the previous night there was what was the other one? Previous night, not Chris's, Francis's one as well. So previous night I was out been out last 2 nights. Oh
Oh,
yeah, what was it called?
well, I do the Lichfield Story Circle and the Bagatelles and
Yeah,
this.
yeah, I did the Bag of Tales. Yeah,
and quite a few Thursdays, not every Thursday.
yeah.
Rona's
Rona's
headliner.
Thursday. Yeah, Rona's Kayla. Yeah, Rona's Chaotic Kayla. Yeah.
Yeah, Rona's. Yeah, so it's great. And then I've got Mike has an open word night live in Much Wenlock on a second Monday, and I've got Birmingham Storytelling Cafe on Wednesday, and that's live.
Right.
So two lives and about 4 Zooms a month.
Yeah, that's the other thing about me having my Friday afternoon folk gig now. I don't make it's only once a month, but our storytelling group in Glasgow, the Better Crack Club, I don't make that either because by the time I finish my gig and then drive from Balloch to Glasgow, the thing's halfway over. So so I'm missing out because I'm doing folk music on a Friday afternoon into Friday evening in a local pub. I'm missing out on the storytelling group. So
Right.
I think I'll have to get somebody to cover for me once a month and go to my storytelling group.
It's doing lots. It's good.
Yeah, but you went all the way to Scotland, didn't you, to May Cheadle's?
Yeah, I was in Kippen last weekend.
All right, yeah.
So this time last week I was playing my whistle in May's living room. Kippen.
Wow.
That's a musical weekend. I did tell a couple of stories, but it's basically a musical weekend.
No, I tell stories when I'm there. It's a pretty open house, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very relaxed occasion.
Do you know May Cheadle, Donald?
No, I don't.
She's Paul Anderson's wife. They live in Kippen.
Right.
And she teaches clogging and music and folk music.
Wow.
Right, and she's been doing Whitby for years.
Yeah, the name is familiar.
Yeah, she can't help herself, can she, Keith? She wakes up in the morning, and for her, clogging and folk music isn't a sort of vocation; it's a disease, you know.
Brilliant.
Storytelling to us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can't stop yourself sometimes, can you? So, yeah. Right, so I do this, and I do the club on a Monday, Keith, and I play in a band. It's called Play It By Ear. I'm going to take my nickel harper down there, and it's every other Wednesday. And they teach new tunes, and we've got about 100 tunes, 150 odd tunes now, but I don't know them all. And I've been there from the beginning. But I took my nickel harper out last night, and it does make its own friends playing the nickel harper. It was a stupid thing to do, but 10 years, I've had it 10 years now. So, yeah. So, and what festivals are you thinking of going to next year, Keith? Are you going to Whitby again?
I'll be going to Whitby, yeah. Yeah, Whitby's booked, yeah. And East Anglia Storytelling Festival, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be going to the East Anglia Storytelling Festival.
Yeah.
Well, you're coming with us.
Try and get to the edge as well.
Right, okay. I haven't heard anything. Have you heard anything about the Edge? I haven't heard anything about it at all this year. So I know there's been a change of management there, hasn't there?
Yeah, but there's still
on. Fate.
Yeah, Georgina often emails through to say that there's various things planned for next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to do East Anglia, but it clashes with Bute Fest on the island of Bute. So, and that also. I can't do Bute Fest next year because it's the same weekend as Cambridge, and I'm doing Cambridge Folk Festival
You're doing it with
So-
John Rowe.
with John. Yeah, and I'll be doing Glastonbury as well.
Oh wow!
And
Right.
a few other. I've done Glastonbury every year since goodness, well, the past 14 years I've done it.
Right. So
You know,
I did.
and-
Yeah, I did Cambridge with John last year.
Yeah, well, it's only he only gets people back every maybe 2 or 3 years, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm due a turn.
Yeah.
So I've been on it, John. When we did the Chippenham festival earlier this year, I nagged him to get me back. So he made a promise, but I keep having to remind him.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I
And
did
did Marrakesh in the new year.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to Marrakesh.
John.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going. Yeah, I'll be there again.
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm going as well. So
Yeah,
as long as
Fantastic.
Lynn's well enough, and it looks like touch wood, all things are okay. Because
Yeah,
I was
I
invited to the
hope so.
first two, but I couldn't come. I couldn't go for that reason. So
yeah. Oh,
So
I
I am
loved
looking-
it. I
Yeah.
loved it last year. Fantastic.
I have been. I went about this time of year 2 years ago to say thank you to Waleed and the people who put this on.
Yeah,
And I just hopped on an airplane and went out and came back again over a weekend, which is
As you
easy
do.
enough to do.
Yeah.
It was easy, and they looked after me really well once I got there, you know. And it was what £100 return on the airplane, I think, or something. But I did want to say thank you to Waleed and
well,
Zuhar.
it's quite difficult to get a direct flight from Scotland. I had to go through Amsterdam, but Michael Cairns, that was from Glasgow to Amsterdam. Michael Cairns went from Edinburgh with Ryanair, and he
Right.
had a nightmare journey. And on the way back, his seat number was 27A, and there was no 27A on the plane. So that's Ryanair for you. But Jet2 have started doing direct flights from Glasgow, which is only 20 minutes drive away from me.
Yeah.
They're from Glasgow Airport. Jet2 are doing it, and it's a lot more than £100. And you know, but the only problem is the flights are very few and far between. So I'm going to arrive in Marrakesh 2 days before. I'll arrive there on the 17th. So 2 days
Right.
before the festival starts, which will give me a chance to have another look around and see some
Yeah.
places I didn't see before.
Yeah, well, because there's some German fellows turned up at the storytelling centre. So they asked me and John to do an hour of storytelling. And in payment, they arranged for us to go around on the horse-drawn carriages.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They had some deal going with somebody through the hotel. And because we donated some stories and some time, they said, oh, we'll arrange for this for you. So they came to the hotel, and I was feeling like a king. I was. Sitting in this open top carriage, horse-drawn carriages all the way around the old town and everything else. And it was absolutely very nice. It was, but I would like to go out to the seaside.
Yeah, we went to, oh, goodness. What's the name of it?
Esperanza or something. Esperanza or something, isn't it?
Yeah. We went there and did some storytelling in the square there, right on the shore. Absolutely beautiful. Only problem is I'd picked up a chest infection, so I couldn't tell there. I was just coughing all the time,
Oh,
and I
no.
actually ended up in hospital when I come back on a
Oh.
nebulizer. You know, so this year I think I'll be wearing a mask quite a lot. But
Did you pick-
it was very dusty, and you know,
Right.
but
Right.
and I'm
Okay.
prone to chest infections.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay, right. So we're going to go Keith, Lincolnshire, Keith, Wolverhampton, Donald, Scotland, and we'll see where we are. Okay.
Grand.
Okay.
Okay, Keith, you go
Here
first.
we go.
Right. Okay. Well, this is a new story I've been working on. I told it last night at the Ballyman Barn, so I hope it came out all right. And I'll keep my Christmas story for next time. Anyway, there's it's in the time of the Crusades, and there was a beautiful young girl called Margaret. She lived in a small village on Ermine Street, the old Roman road, which also there's a crossroads where it crosses to Newark and Sleaford, and it was in the Ancaster Fen. And she lived there. She was very happy, and she'd met a young man, and he worked on the land, and they were engaged to be married. But much to her surprise and shock and disappointment, the young man went off to war, to the Crusades, to see what adventures he could have. And so Margaret was very, very bitter and angry. And then there was an evil person, I don't know quite who he was, but he came and met her. And they say that he was Scratch, the devil. And he persuaded her to do evil things and nasty things. And so she became a witch and was known then as Old Meg. And she would cause devastation in all around. If some of the farmers locally upset her in any way, she would cause the crops to fail in the fields, the cows would die, the sheep would become far weltered, and if any of the children looked at her in a nasty way, they would become deformed. And so she was hated by all the villagers and all the people in Ancaster Heath. They prayed and cried out for help. And much to their amazement, a knight appeared. A brave knight who apparently was actually Meg's old boyfriend. But now he was grown, he was strong, he'd been to the wars, been to the Crusades, and came back very brave. And the villagers said, can you get rid of old Meg, because she's causing so much devastation and so much hardship in the county? And he said he would, but he needed a horse, because his old horse had not been available now. He's just on his own with his sword and shield and all his armour. And so one of the farmers brought 3 horses to the local pond. And the knight, he took a stone, he threw it into the pond and watched for the reaction of the 3 horses. And one of the horses responded quite quickly to the stone that's thrown into the pond, and its name was called Bayard. But Bayard was blind, but nevertheless, he was a brave horse. And the knight, he mounted the horse and charged off to the cottage where old Meg lived, and challenged her, "Let's fight to the death." And old Meg cried out from the door of the cottage, "I'm just going to feed my children, and then I'll come out." But she went out the back door and came round. And much to the astonishment of the knight, she jumped onto the back of the horse and dug her claws and her heels into the horse, into Bayard, and he leapt 60 feet into the air. And old Meg fell off to the ground. And the night he jumped off his horse, and he took his sword and he cut off the head of old Meg. And as the tradition was, that the villagers came and they took a stake and they drove it through the heart and the body of old Meg and then burned her to ashes. And so that's the story of Bayard Sleep. And if you go to that crossroads in Ancaster Heath, you will find 4 hoof prints in the ground where blind Bayard landed after he's doing his great leap.
All right. Yeah. I love stories like that. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. Crusades and witches and all sorts of things. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a romantic reunion and she stopped being a bitch, but instead it chops her head off.
Yeah, I've got to work on that one. It's a new one for me, so I've got to work on it.
It's a
I'll
good
tell
one.
you-
No, it's a good one, Keith. It's good.
It's a lovely story, Keith. But I don't know how it's working your part of
Spooky
the
old
country,
story.
but everybody wants to be witches over here at the moment. When I was growing up, to be a witch was an insult. Call someone a witch, it was a bloody insult. It really was. It was never, if you wanted to compliment someone, they were an old hen wife or an old wife, and they had old wives' tales, or plant mothers was the other name that they used. Nowadays, for suddenly, they all want to try to be witches. They're hedge witches and tree witches and all sorts of things. And it never impresses me. I was talking to someone the other day and they said that. I said, you're not going to impress me by calling yourself a hedge witch. What the hell's a hedge witch? Well, someone who knows everything that grows in the hedges. Well, yeah, okay. It's never going to impress the local people. They're never people who were brought up on the Rice Master. They've always come in from somewhere else. So, yeah. Anyway, Keith from Warburton, Brampton.
Yep.
Yeah.
We like to confuse everybody. Sometimes at Lichfield Storyteller, there's 3 Keiths, which I think constitutes a swarm. Anyway.
You sure it's not a coven?
No witches. No, this is not a witch story. I'm sorry. I feel less for it, but it's not a witch story. This is a story about a king who was grumpy. A king who was grumpy because he was uncomfortable, because he had a huge crown on his head. And his shoulders and his neck ached from this huge crown. And although he was just and probably reasonable, he was grumpy in dealing with everybody. And everyone sighed and thought, oh, we just should cheer up. But there was a reason for his grumpiness, which nobody knew apart from one person. For this king had donkey ears. Donkey ears. Now, when he was tiny, when he was born, they were just a bit pointed. And his mother put a turban on his head, and he's a prince, so he has a turban and fine clothes. And no one worried about what he looked like. And the turban never seemed to come off because the mother was embarrassed that her son, as he grew, his ears grew, and his ear grew disproportionately. So that by the time he was a youth, they were genuine donkey ears. And by the time, when he was quite a young man, he became king. The crown had to cover the ears, and therefore it was heavy with gold. And therefore he had a pain in his neck and his shoulders. And he ruled, as I say, fairly and justly, but grumpily. But you can't just have a king. You have to have a queen as well, and you have to have heirs. And all his counselors, the grand viziers, said, Your Highness, you must marry. And they sent out messengers to all the neighbouring countries. And to be quite frank, his reputation went before him about being grumpy, and the princesses from the local kingdoms were not that interested, apart from one who was about his age, she was getting beyond marriageable age in those days, for she was a woman who had her own mind, and she wasn't going to have a husband arranged for her who she didn't approve of, but she was intrigued by this grumpy king. For the word from his kingdom was that he was fair and just, but grumpy. And most kings who are grumpy are unjust. And she was intrigued. And she decided, well, perhaps she would marry this grumpy king. And to his horror, she agreed, and the wedding was organized. And how would he be at the wedding, he thought to himself, but it was out of his hands now, and all the festivities were being organized. And what they wanted at the great feast was entertainment. So there would be musicians, there would be singers, there would be storytellers, heaven forfend, but there would also be musicians, and all the local actors and singers and musicians and storytellers knew that if they attended this wedding, then their fortunes would be made, because their name would be spread throughout the country. And so it was that a pipe player from a neighboring land walked all the way to this land. He was a poor pipe player. Musicians usually are poor, aren't they? They can never get enough work. And it was the short pipes, not like the Northumberland pipes or the Elam pipes. They're short pipes that pump on your elbow. I can't really do it here, so it's better done live. He arrived at the city as dusk was falling, and he just made it through the gate before the guards shut the gates for the evening. And he made his way into the castle and went up the stairs. And he was passed by a man, a servant. And this was the king's personal servant, the only other person who knew his secret. The only other person who knew he had donkey ears. And he was confused. The piper was confused. Where should he go? And he opened the door, and he was in the king's chamber. And there was the king, seated in a chair, resting, relaxing, his crown on the table, his high crown, and his donkey ears on show. And the musician's mouth dropped open as he looked at the king, and the king's face went red. And he said, "Now you know the secret. And if that secret passes your lips, you will lose your head." Well, the piper got up the next day. He was auditioned by the viziers. Yes, he was a good piper. They would like him to play at the wedding. He should go off now and practice his tunes. And he went into the hills above the city. But I don't know if you feel like this, but having a secret is a dangerous thing, and it eats away. Who can I tell a secret to? And he knew no one in the city, so he had no one to sort of whisper it to. So he went up into the hills. He went up into the hills where there were like an orchard and a stream with willow trees. And he dug a hole. He dug a hole by a willow tree. And he whispered into this hole. Looked around. No one about. "The king's got donkey ears." And he covered it over. And strangely, that made him feel better. He told the roots of this willow tree that the king had donkey ears, a secret that it wouldn't divulge. And he played and he played and he practiced because he wanted his reputation as a piper to grow from this event. But then something went wrong with his pipes, and he took the mouthpiece off and took the reed out, and the reed was broken and splintered. So he took his knife out and he cut a piece of the willow tree and made a new reed. And he put it in the mouthpiece and screwed it back in and played, and that was fine. And he was relieved. So the next day, the festivities began. They were married, and the feast was laid out, and a stream of entertainers came through the hall, and they were well received, the singers and the dancers and the storytellers and the musicians of all sorts of ilk with flutes and lutes. And now the piper came forward, and there on two thrones sat the king and the king with his huge crown, and the queen looking quizzical at her new husband with his massive crown. And the piper began to play. And as he played, the pipes did not respond to his command. For the pipes sang a tune. The king has got donkey ears, donkey ears, donkey ears. The king has got donkey ears. The king has got donkey ears, donkey ears, donkey ears. King has got donkey ears. The piper looked at his pipes aghast as they sang out this tune and this song, and the place went silent as the king's face reddened. And the piper didn't know how to retrieve this appalling situation. What has his pipe done? It was the reed from the willow tree that he had told the secret to. Then the queen spoke out and said, the king has donkey ears. Can I at least see them? And everyone else looked aghast as the king took off the huge, heavy crown and placed it on the table next to the throne. And there, for all to see, were his donkey ears. And there was a silence, and the king's servant waited for his rage as his face reddened with embarrassment. But the queen said, donkey ears. Actually, they look a bit regal to me, like a king should have, prominent ears. And he felt like a relief, like a weight being lifted from his shoulders. His wife, his new wife, thought his ears were attractive. And the people looking on thought, wow, they are strange but interesting ears. And the festivities continued, and the couple carried on as king and queen, and they ruled well and justly and cheerfully now. And the people from that country, when they met people from neighboring countries, they would say, your king, anything interesting? And they'd say, well, not really. And they'd say, well, how about the ears? How about your king's ears? And they'd say, well, our king's got ordinary ears. And they would say, proudly, our king has donkey ears. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the best I've heard that story told in a long time, because people miss out the bit about the willow reed in the pipes. Yeah, that is the proper version of that. That is, it's well done, that is, yeah. So Donald, we're going to you. Omar, can you hear me? You're in Marrakesh. So can you hear me? Never mind, Kate. We'll go to you, Donald.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Keith, that was great because the version that's usually told that I've heard is it's the king's barber that knows the secret. So that is a fantastic version of that story. So thank you very much.
No,
Anyway,
thanks.
Maybe a bit of a theme because this is a story that I came across at 5:30 tonight. I didn't tend to tell another story, but and this one is called "Secrets Are Hard to Keep," and it's a story I think from the Sudan. As I say, I just came across it earlier on tonight, so I've got some prompts to help me along with it. It's called, as I say, it's called "Secrets Are Hard to Keep." One day, Niall was strolling down the road, and he looked to his left, and he saw a snake. Well, he took a step back. They noticed that the snake was trapped in between two boulders. Now, Niall never knew if this snake was poisonous or not. But what he did know was he didn't like to see a fellow living being suffer. So he thought for a moment, and he thought, if I pull that rock there to the side, then the rock will be in between me and the snake if it doesn't want to attack me. He went over and he heaved the rock out of the way, and the snake slithered out. And the snake spoke to him. He said, "Thank you very much for saving me. Thank you. I was getting crushed there, and you saved my life, and you shall have a reward." And he gave Niall a snake tooth. And the snake said, "Wear this tooth around your neck, and you'll be able to hear everything and understand everything that any animal says." "Oh, that's a good gift," said Niall. "Well, be very, very careful with it," said the snake, "because if you tell anyone the secret of that snake tooth, it will no longer work." "Thank you. Can't wait to try it out," said Niall. And they went their separate ways. Well, that night, Niall is lying in bed with his wife, and two mice walk into the room. And one mouse says to the other, "Oh, we're in for a feast tonight. We're going to eat like kings. You see the people that live in this house? They never put their food away properly." And of course, Niall could understand what they were saying because he was wearing snake tooth around his neck. He'd understand them, and he burst out laughing because it just so happens that Niall and his wife they'd eaten every single scrap of food in the house that evening. Well, Niall's wife turns around and says, "What are you laughing at?" And he said, "Oh, I can't really tell you." Say, "Come on, why are you laughing?" "I have my reasons, but I can't tell you." Well, Niall's wife just turned her back on him and lay down and went to sleep. The next morning, the milkman came, and Niall opened the door to the milkman. And the milkman had two goats with him. And one goat said to the other, "I hope these good people don't part with their hard-earned cash, because that milkman has watered the milk down again." And once again, Niall burst out laughing, and he said to the milkman, "Oh, not today, mate. Not today. No. Maybe next week." And he closed the door. And Niall's wife said, What were you laughing at there? Why did you not buy any milk from the milkman?" "I can't tell you," said Niall, "but I have my reasons." And Niall's wife said, "Oh, Stuart, there's something strange happening here." And she wandered off to continue making the breakfast. The next day, Niall's old aunt came to visit, and she was riding on the back of her old cow. And they stopped outside Niall's door. Niall opened the door. Oh, hello, Auntie. Auntie Rosa. Hello, how are you? I'm very well, she said. Then the cow said to a stray cat that was sitting there, I wish you wouldn't ride on my back in this heat. It's so, I mean, it's so hot and she's so heavy. She's heavier than a cartload of mangoes. Well, Niall, he knew that his aunt was rather on the large side, let's say, and he tried to suppress his laugh, but he burst out laughing. And again, his wife said, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing? You've been acting really strange. You've just been laughing at nothing, and you've been sneaking about, and you're wearing that new necklace you've got. You even wear it in bed, and you're really upsetting me. If you don't tell me what's wrong with you, I'm leaving you and I'm going back to my parents. Well, Niall loved his wife. He didn't want her to leave him. He said, okay, I'll tell you. And he told her the story of saving the snake's life and how the snake gave him the tooth and he could understand what every animal was saying. He said, here, try it. And he put it round her neck. Well, of course, he'd given away the secret and it didn't work. And his wife said, I can't hear anything from the animals. All I can hear is moo and meow. I can't. Talking, you're going crazy. And Niall said, look, let me try it. And he put it back on. And of course, it didn't work because he'd given the secret away. And she said, right, this is your last chance. Stop all this carry on. Stop pretending like you're a 5-year-old. Niall said, okay, I'll behave. He said, I'm going for a walk. So both of us can calm down. We went for a walk. And as he's walking along, he met the snake. And the snake said, so you gave away the secret? And Niall said, I had to. My wife is going to leave me. And I love her so much that I didn't want, she was going to go back to her parents and I didn't want her to leave me. And I thought, giving away the secret was nothing compared to my wife leaving me. So I told her. And the snake said, well, you know something? True love deserves a reward. Take this feather and wear it round your neck. You'll be able to understand everything that the birds say. But let me warn you, like the snake tooth, if you give away the secret, it won't work anymore. And Niall said, oh, don't you worry. I've learned my lesson. And if I hear a bird saying anything funny, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. And from that day, he did. And he could hear everything the birds were saying. And birds being very wise creatures, he learned a lot from the birds. And Niall and his wife lived a long and happy marriage. Thank you.
I wonder if he went to an owl parliament.
Sorry?
I wonder if he went to an owl parliament, and I wonder if an owl parliament's as bad as the real ones in London.
No, but
I wanted to hear what the birds were saying.
saying.
I wanted to hear what the birds were saying, like the animals.
Yeah.
Good fun. Nice one, Donald.
It depends what kind of bird you're talking about.
So, good evening, Omar. It's nice to see you again.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. So we're all going to mute, and it's your turn. Okay, mate?
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Mike. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You're very welcome. Thank you so much. And I'm going to tell you a story from Moroccan heritage, and I really hope you like the story. So the story goes like, ladies and gentlemen, once upon a long time ago, there lived a poor fisherman who used to fish in a lake beside his house. You know, after getting old, tired, and slow feet, he could not go to the sea again. So he went to the lake beside his house, and he was fishing there. The first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day, the seventh day, but he got nothing from the lake. And he got super furious, angry. What am I going to do right now? I don't get any single penny right now. And I need to feed my family, I need to feed myself. My parents are still alive. I have a lot of responsibilities. So he had a lot of ideas in his mind, and he swore to God. So the 80th day, if he got nothing from the lake, he would change his career as a fisherman. He would do something, another craft in his life. So the 80th day, he went to the lake beside his house. He cast his fish in it, and he was waiting there for minutes. And minutes became minutes became hours, and hours became, and when he was waiting there. But at the end of the day, he got a fish. But it's not just a normal fish, ladies and gentlemen. It was a golden fish, and he was super excited, super happy. Yes, a golden fish. Look at me. I got a golden fish from the lake. And he was so excited, so happy. And then he got a lot of ideas in his mind. What am I going to do with that golden fish right now? Am I going to go to bring it to my family and eat it? No, this is not a good idea. Maybe I can go to the market and sell it. No, it is not a good idea either. So he had something special in his mind. You know, back then, when you have something special, you bring it to the Sultan as a gift. And this is what he did. He went to the Sultan's palace. He went to the Sultan's court. A gift giver, a gift giver. I have a gift for the Sultan. The Sultan heard about the story. And he said to the guardians, let that old man came. So he came to the Sultan's palace. He went to the court. And he said, Your Majesty, I do have something special for you to offer you this day. Look, I have a golden fish. The Sultan once saw the golden fish. He get amazed. A golden fish? Wow, this is my first time I saw a golden fish in my whole life. This is beautiful. And he thanked him, and he gave him a lot of money to be one of the richest men in the world. So the fisherman went back home, but before that, he went to the souk and he bought every color of food he needs, and he feed his family. Let's go back to the Sultan. The Sultan wants that golden fish to be fried and eat it with his family because he wants to taste that beautiful golden fish and he wants to eat it. So he ordered the cook and he said, Cook, come here. I want to fry that golden fish for a special dinner. Is that clear? Yes, Your Majesty. The cook went to the kitchen and prepared that golden fish and put it on the fire. And while putting it on the fire, like smoke coming from nowhere, all the places. And the genie appeared holding a sword, saying some strange words. Oh, fish, you are as if you were. You are as if you were, not as if you were, holding your promise. And took that golden fish and disappeared. The cook was shocked. Where is the golden fish? I just saw it here, and the genie appeared and saying some strange word and holding a sword. This is strange thing that happened. So she ran to the Sultan and she said to him, Your Majesty, and she was stuttering. The golden fish, this is disappearing. And she was shaking his hand, and the Sultan tried to believe her, and he said to her, You must eat that golden fish, huh? Tell me the truth, huh? Tell me the truth, cook. And he said to her, Tell me the truth. And she said, No, please don't hurt me. It's the genie who appeared and take that golden fish with him. But he could not believe her. And the vizier was appeared, and she said to him, Don't believe her, Your Majesty. She must eat that golden fish. And he punished her very well. The second day, the fisherman went back to the lake again because he was lucky that the first day, And he went to the lake again, and he cast his fish in it again, and he was waiting, and he got another golden fish, and he was so happy, excited. And that another golden fish in another day. Yes, he went to the Sultan's palace, a gift giver. I have a gift for the Sultan. So he gave it to the Sultan as a gift again, and the Sultan really loved the story, really loved the golden fish, and he gave him another 10 golden dinars. Today, he thanked him very well, and he said to him, thank you for bringing that golden fish again. And he went back home. You know, the Sultan only trusted in the palace, just the vizier, and he said to him, vizier, I only trusted you. And you know what? Here is the deal. You've prepared that golden fish for a special dinner, and we can have 50-50. You ate 50 of that golden fish, and I ate my 50 of that golden fish. Is that a deal for you? And he said, yes, your majesty. So the vizier went and prepared that golden fish, and once he put that golden fish on the fire, like the same thing happened. A genie appeared holding the same sword and says same strange words. Oh, fish, you are as if you were. You are as if you were, not as if you were, holding your promise, and took that golden fish and disappeared. The vizier went to the Sultan and said to him, your majesty, we must believe the cook. She's right. We must believe her. There was a genie, and they see him. Yes, there was a genie. But then the cook appeared and said to him, no, don't trust him. He's lying, because the golden fish, I ate it, and it was very, very beautiful, and it tastes good. Because then the Sultan punished the vizier as well. The third day, the fisherman went to the lake again. He went to fish another golden fish because he got lucky. So he went to the lake beside his own again, and he cast the fish in it, and he got another golden fish. But guess what happened this time? The Sultan did not welcome him and give him 10 golden dinars. He shouted at him and he said, you are a swindler, you are a wizard. Where did it come from, that golden fish, huh? Tell me the truth, old man, or I would kill you right now. No, please, don't hurt me. I'm just a poor man. I just got some golden fish from the lake. Please, don't hurt me, please. And I said to him, no, I would kill you. Where did it come from, that golden fish, huh? It is a magical golden fish, huh? Tell me the truth, old man. And he said him the truth. If you don't believe me, you can come with me and just see. So he said to him, okay, let's go and check what is going on right here. So the old man, so the Sultan, the vizier, the old man, the fisherman, and the cook and the guardians went to the lake beside his house. And the Sultan put that golden fish on the water, threw it on the water, and it swam deeper again. And everybody was amazed. It was dead, and now it swam deeper again, and she became alive. And everybody was amazed. So the Sultan was wearing a ring of wisdom, and he put his fingers on the water and play with them. So once his ring of wisdom, like check the water, it's like 3 golden fishes appeared and talked to the Sultan, and he only can hear and understand the language. So when they looked at them, he said to them that there were for 1,000 years like 3 princesses that live here, and they get bewitched into 3 golden fishes, because when they married her husband, who was the king, married a wizard, and he got envious of these 3 like princesses. They bewitches them into 3 golden fishes, and they put them in that lake, and like hired that genie to be there and let anyone do anything and that's right again. And they only ask for one favor, is that not let anyone do anything that late again. So because they get hurt. So the Sultan, when understand the story, of course he is the Sultan and he got the power. So he ordered a lot of guardians to surround the lake and not let anyone do anything in that lake again. And the Sultan, he asked for forgiveness from the cook and the vizier. and the old man, fisherman, he gave him enough money to live his life in a beautiful way. And he lived his life happily ever after till the end of time. And this is the end of the story. I hope you like the story. It's a Moroccan story translated into English as the first one. And I hope you understand that phrase, oh fish, you are as if you were, not as if you were, holding your promise. It's a little bit strange phrase. I know it, even in Arabic. So I hope you like the story and the moral of that story. So thank you so much for your letting me tell the story with you and sharing my stories with you, Mr. Mike, and everybody else. And
Omar, it's a lovely pleasure.
Great story, Omar. Great story.
It's a lovely story, well told.
Thank you so much.
One of the most difficult things to do in the storytelling world is to tell a story that's not in your mother tongue. It is a very difficult thing to do, and you are doing it very well.
Thank you so much.
And the one thing you have to remember always about whichever language it is, whether you're taking it to a foreign language, and this one you're doing in my language, English, is the word, it's called diction. It's the word where how you have to make your words clear so those people understand it. And you are very good at that. Right?
Yes, I'm still working on my pronunciation. I know that I'm a little bit, you know why? Because when I was young, I was stuttering. And my pronunciation is not that clear. But you know, because of storytelling, I used to like speak more fluently and more clear. Because of storytelling, this is why I love storytelling, because it helped me a lot with my fluency.
Right. So another word for pronunciation in English is diction, and that's what I was trying to say. It's how clear the words are each time, and you're very good at it. Okay.
Thank you.
You have an accent, but that's okay. You're very good at having the words being clear. Now I have to tell this to Donald sometime because he comes from Scotland.
Well, I was about to say that there. You know, my diction isn't very good to the English ears.
But it's very, very good.
But
So
my partner's English and her family don't understand me. They're from Essex.
Yeah. And it's called, everybody's got a different dialect.
Exactly.
But it makes you who you are as well. And so I'd just like to say, hang on, please come back in 2 weeks' time and do me another story. Okay?
Inshallah. Yes, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Right. So because we've got a bit of time and there's only a few of us, I'm going to do one myself. Now, a long, long time ago. Now we're talking about the year 600. So we're talking now 1600 years ago or something like this. The Northumberlands came down to the middle of England and they stopped at the side of the River Severn. And they had a king there and his name was Oswald. And they come and they stopped him. And amongst them was a fella, it was a Bishop Chad, his name was. And he met Penda. And Penda was the guy who was in charge of the Mercians. And they had arranged to meet there. And they both had brought their armies with them. But they didn't particularly want to fight a war with each other at that time. They did afterwards, but not at that time. And so they said, right. So they had a sort of talk about it. And Chad was there. And he was saying, I want you to have Christians in your land, Penda. Well, Penda was a pagan. And he said, well, I've got no mind, as long as they're loyal to me. But I'm not going to convert. I'm going to stay where I am. I have my children with me. Merriweather would have been him at that. And so Chad, they argued about it, and he said, will you listen to this and everything else? And so Penda was there with his arms crossed, probably just staring at him. And in the end, Chad picked up his axe, threw it across the river. As it landed the other side of the river, it made a hole in the ground. And he picked up an acorn and he threw it over. And he said, put that acorn in that hole. And as the tree grows, an oak tree will grow, and that oak tree will be the symbol of Christianity. And I'll know there's something Christian in your land. And Penda said, that's fine. And that's what they did. And so Chad said to him, when that tree dies, another one will grow. And when that other tree, second one dies, a third one will grow. And there'll always be Christians in that land. And they'll outgrow you, Penda. And there'll be Christianity in your land. And what Pender said was these words. He said they can have 3 trees. And I know where that tree is now, and I can drive past it, and there's a very old tree leaning against a young tree, and it just looks as if the old tree is converting itself into the new tree, and the new tree's growing away. And they reckon it's the 3rd tree since in these 1600 years that's grown there. But Pender said these words: I'll know my religion's around by the days of the week, because there'll be a Sunday, and then there'll be a moon day, and then there'll be a Tours day. And Tours isn't a death day. Tours is an endings day. For sometimes you have to have an ending, and sometimes you have to have, because without endings there's no beginnings. And so people's lives change, and it's not always to do with death. It's just a change in life sometimes. Then there's Woden's Day, and there's Thor's Day, and there's Freya's Day, and there's Sator's Day. And Sator was the great blacksmith of the gods of the northern lands. But he also made jewelry. And what he said about his jewelry was that a jewel, whether it's a ring or a necklace or something that goes on your ears or on top of your head or anything else like that, it's not to make you look good, it's to make you feel good. Because when you wear my jewelry, you always feel like $1,000, and a woman who feels good is always a better person. And as long as the days of the week are named after my gods, then I'll know that my gods still survive. And Chad looked at him and he said, well, if the days of the week outlive the years of an oak tree, we'll see where we are. So 1600 years later, there's still an oak tree in Cressidge. There's Christians all over the Welsh Marsh, but the days of the week are still used in the old ways. The Norse named them, and they're the names we use for the names of our weekdays to this day. So no one's won, and no one's lost. And it's not a particular competition because we all live alongside each other. But Pender was right about that. As long as the days of the week are named after his gods, people will remember him as well. And so we do, and so I do again tonight. Yeah. Right, well, my apologies again for getting the date wrong. It's the first time in nearly 4 years that I've been doing this. I've managed to bollocks it up, but I do apologise. And in 2 weeks' time, and I think John must have as well, because I've just seen on the Messenger thing that he's down at a storytelling festival in Bray in the home county somewhere. So he hasn't, because he always comes along and he always phones me, and we speak to each other over the weekend about what needs to be done. I don't know what
story. I think John's in Ireland at the moment.
Well, he could well be. He certainly hasn't spoken to me today. And good luck, if he is, good luck to him. Because he's normally this time of year very busy being Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He does. He's a very good Santa Claus, and he's asked to do that a lot. And I know he enjoys it. He speaks about it. So, and I would say one other thing, that I'm not a really envious person, but sometimes envy does come into my life like everybody. Taffy Thomas I'm envious of sometimes because he goes to Shetland every year to do a palia. And I wish he'd stop doing it. Then they may invite me because I'd love to go and do it. And I'm always envious for people who go to Glastonbury. And I've been once, a long time ago, and I'm going to nag John to invite me down to Glastonbury. But I had a really lovely time in Cambridge, Donald, and I hope you do next year.
Yeah, I love it. It's so laid back. It's such a great festival.
Yeah, absolutely. And the gods were really nice to me tonight when I was down there. Because, he was the picture person to the festival about 5 years ago. They put his face on all the publicity and on the programme and everything else. And if you walk around Cambridge since, he was the sort of the main face to the festival, Donald. When were you last there? You're muted.
Right, sorry, Mike. I've got to head off now. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Yeah, okay.
See you
Keith.
guys.
Right,
See you
Keith.
in a
Stories.
fortnight.
Thanks very
Yeah,
much.
Yeah,
See you next time. Bye.
yeah.
Yeah, I was last there 2 years ago, but I
How
was there as a punter. But John still got me up to do a few stories. But the year before that, I was invited as one of the guest storytellers. So what's that? 3 years ago, I was last there. So
So when I walk around with him, all the storeholders come up and say hello, and all the stewards know who he is, and they stop and say hello and shake his hand and all that kind of thing.
if you try and get 100 yards in John's company at any festival,
Yeah.
then it takes you 3/4 of an hour, to get 100 yards.
Yeah,
It's got to talk to everyone.
yeah. It was absolutely wonderful. When you walk around Whitby, it's much the same. You meet people in the street, and it can take an hour to get from one place to another. Now, if you do it any other time of the year, it take you 5 minutes. But it is absolutely very much like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I was thinking tonight about this time I'd be sitting down and advertising next week's story round to try and get a few more people here. So I'll do that, and I'll see if we can get a few more people for a fortnight's time, which would be the 30th. And we'll
Yeah,
do
don't do it for next week.
Yeah. Right. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being there.
Thank
And
you for.
if you're still listening, thank you for coming over, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks' time.
Good.
Thank
Good.
you. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.